All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Word with Ty Brownlow. I am your host, Ty Brownlow. And remember, no one is worthless. No story is worthless. And today, ladies and gentlemen, I have a very special guest for you. I'll give you a couple of words about my guest. Variation, group, consultant, author, all the way from Alexandria, Virginia. Please put your hands together for Miss Claudia Kropf.
Thank you so much, Ty. I appreciate that introduction.
No problem at all. No problem at all. Thank you for being on the show. And man, I am glad you're on the show because you deal with HR, human resources, okay? Basically, you are a human resources consultant and you are also a senior vice president of human relations, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. So during this time, now that, and I don't want to get too political, but, we've seen the inauguration yesterday and, the trends, pretty much, the transformation of power from, the old guard to the new. But in this new campaign, we're seeing like a lot of diversity. We're seeing a lot of Black and brown. We're seeing a lot of like gender, people of like different gender statuses, what have you, taking like big leads. And we want to talk a lot about that today. But before we get into that, you are also an author. And that's the first thing I want to talk about. Let's talk about your book, HR Simply Defined.
Okay. I've been in HR for a while.
Okay.
And I've gone to seminar after whatever else you can think of. And they always tell you about the perfect company. Problem was I never worked at that company. And so they were never able to help me when things didn't go right.
Right.
And sometimes their advice would actually be, well, if your company's not doing this, just leave. Okay, that's wonderful. But since I don't have like this giant bank account and people are depending on me,
right.
That's not always the answer.
That's
true. And
true.
so it was really in my heart, and I mean that, to write a book to help people who just want to go to work, contribute, and make a living in HR and feel good when they came home, even if that company wasn't doing everything it was supposed to. And so the book talks about relationships and what you can do. And I've carved it out, be it recruiting or compensation or employee relations. These are the things that you can do that will help that company. And we all know if you help the people, help the company.
That's true.
And so they're simple concepts, but sometimes a little difficult for people to actually put into practice.
Okay, all right. Can you just give us, man, because I don't want to give it all away, but just give us a little smidget of some of those concepts, because I can think of several in my head, but I don't want, man, look, I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people on the other side of this camera that are watching this video like, oh, she's in HR. Oh, do I have something for you? Let me tell you about blah, 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 blah. And I'm pretty, that can go on forever and a day, but we're not here for that.
Yes.
We're here for something else. All right. So I like that. So like, can you give us a little tidbit of how, it could be a little bit better? Like, how can they like shore up the company to like perform a little bit better as far as
Well, you can do better by listening and then keeping your mouth shut, because confidentiality is first. And unless it's going to harm the business or the employee, I'm there to help. I'm there to counsel and guide as much as possible. So I had one situation where I had come into the company and made it a point to call as many people as I could and to go see as many people as I could. So now you fast forward about a month later and a young lady calls me. She said, I need to talk to my manager and I don't know how. I don't agree with what he said. And I said, well, I've talked to him before and I think he'll be reasonable. So call, don't push, tell him you want to talk to him. And if he won't listen, call me back. I'm always there. Got to be that last support. Okay, but here's the funny part. So 5 minutes later, after I hang up the phone, her boss calls me. He said, one of my employees has called and I don't know what to do. I said, well, I'll tell you what, think about it. She had to put herself in a difficult position to possibly disagree with her boss. So I need you to go ahead and have that meeting and listen. And if you feel stuck, tell her you're going to stop the meeting and reconvene later and call me. They worked it out. But you see, you don't just say go, okay?
Right.
They have to have somebody to come back to. It wasn't a cold call for both of them because they at least had heard of me because I made sure they did. So that's how I can get things together sometimes. And I don't even know if they heard the story, if they would know that they were the people I was referring to.
Yeah, see.
Okay. And this is what happens if HR doesn't do that. I've got a story in the book because let's just say a few years ago when I was a cheerleader, many years ago, actually, we were doing this cheer. No, not that way. Take that ball the other way. And we looked really good. The problem was we had intercepted the ball. It was football. Okay, so
yeah, that's the wrong chair.
Exactly. So I was watching. I take off from the squad and I run with the football team. And the squad is still just in perfect formation. No, not that way. and of course, the point of the story is you can look good and you can sound good, but you got to pay attention to what's going on or what you're doing is worthless. That's what HR has to do. We've got to pay attention to the employees, to the business, to the failures, to the successes. We have to know, or what we're doing is in a vacuum and it's no good at all.
Okay. So I have a couple of other questions, but I'm going to put this question out here. All right. Since you're in HR. And I just love the calming and the cool and the collect, because I figure that's what you have to be, in HR, because you have to listen to a bevy of grievances. That's what I would say. I'm not going to say the other words or whatever, but yes, there's grievances that others may have about others that they may work with, that you have to partake in those grievances and make sure everything is smoothed out.
Yes.
How important sometimes, well, no, period. How important is diversity when it comes to human resources? Because I'm just going to use a personal story of mine. I moved away. I moved, to a different state, and the company that I started working for, they were great, and but I just felt like the human resources department didn't really give off the vibe that if I really needed to talk to them about what I felt was going on, it wouldn't, come across, the ears of those who are going to put plans into action. So how important sometimes is diversity in human resources?
In human resources itself, it is extremely important. We have to know people, and quite frankly, everybody's different. Even twins are different. So if we don't learn to listen to each other, then when we come up with Black Lives Matter and all the different things that are facing people now, you're at a loss. You're at a loss. But HR has to present itself as those who only deal with the truth and integrity. And that's why I can say pretty much anything to anybody, because it's not about them. It's not about me or you. It's about what is right. And so it works, and they listen to me because they know that's what I'm telling them. Now, if I told them I wanted a blue dress, it probably wouldn't work out as well. But as long as I tell them the truth.
Right.
But it's not how important is diversity. It's what is stopping us from becoming more diverse. That's the issue. That's the real issue.
So in your mind, what are some of those things? Because look, there are people, and we've all worked with companies that we thought were great at the time and probably could have been greater. But for some particular reason, the company just never got past whatever issues it had, sometimes most of the time dealing with race, and that plays a big factor, especially when it comes to promoting. And what do you do at the end of the day?
Well, first off, no, it's going to take more than a day. Okay. So, because you're dealing with things and we all have to figure out how we're going to deal with it. Number one, fear. Fear. What is it that that other person believes? You're not going to know unless you get into a conversation. What in the world are they afraid of? I don't look like you. I don't sound like you. I think differently. And usually, if I don't understand something, I don't like it. Ask me about physics. Before I took it, I didn't even want to have anything to do with it. I was terrified just because I didn't understand it. But once I had to sit there and listen, and the tutor did not hurt. Once I really started getting it, I'm like, oh, this isn't so bad after all. And that's what we face. But a lot of times when somebody has a fearful reaction, be it a nasty mouth, nasty look, we say, you know what, if that's how you're going to be, we don't get anywhere. You're not going to get rid of me, okay? You can do a lot of things, but you can't ignore me. I'm going to be right there. I'm knock right back there on your door. How you doing? I'll be back the next day. You're going to get to know me. If you don't like me, it's because you don't like me. It will not be because of diversity.
Well, okay. So, all right. So we're going to get into this question I have right here. Now,
okay.
Where do most companies go wrong as far as, when it comes to diversity? And one of the incidents that I'm going to bring up is the whole Google incident. Actually, I believe they had two incidents where they had women. Okay. One of the women was like the head of AI. She was a woman of color. For some reason, there was a misunderstanding according to Google, but the woman claims that, no, she was forced out of her position because of, something that she felt. And I mean, I know it didn't make a big wave on like the national front lines, but this was a person who is highly regarded in their field by others outside of Google. And even they were trying to wrap their heads around the whole incident. Like, well, why would Google let her go? So basically it became an issue of he said, well, she says versus what the company says. And of course, we all use Google, and of course, Google wants to put back into Black Lives Matter, and they want to build up their diversity. But then you hear these stories coming out of the Valley or what have you about there not being enough diversity,
right?
Especially in tech. Like tech is a very hard field.
Yes, it really is.
So where do in your mind, where do most companies well, I'm not going to say Google, but most big companies go wrong, especially when it comes to diversity?
The big ones and the little ones.
Okay. Well, yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes. Okay. Let's not forget the little small ones now, because they don't always, and you know what? That is very important. I'm glad you brought that up, because let's not act like, it doesn't happen in small business, because in order to become a big business, you have to start as a small business. Yes. So it doesn't matter if you have a crew of 6,000 or just a crew of 6, you still have to learn how to manage. So.
And learning how to manage. But you actually hit the nail on the head, as my mom would say, when you said it didn't cause that much of a wave. Companies get too wrapped around what do other people think. Now, I understand you have to a point. I do. Okay, you're in a business, but you can't allow yourself just to start standing up statistics. You can't just put people in a position so you can say, look what I got. Okay, because that's not the point of diversity and inclusiveness. It was hard enough for some people just to get to diversity. When you started talking inclusiveness, they ran out the back door again. Okay, they had just come back in. But that's where companies, it takes time. The things that we were just talking about, getting to know you, getting to know me, having to sit down and to say, okay, what is this? Why do you not believe? What do you think? That takes time. You can't just teach it in a classroom. You can't just take a class and say we're done. And business wants to move faster than that. And so does much of our life now. Can I get it delivered faster? Can I order faster? Can I get there? But people are still people. And so because business is so pushed by whoever's going to buy and go the fastest, They just want to stand it up and let it go, but it's a paper wall and it falls down. You've got to be committed. You've got to be committed. If you've got leadership that doesn't understand it, you got to have coffee. You got to have some Google calls, Teams. I don't care. You've got to sit there until they begin to understand who you are, why it is important. And then it starts to filter, and then let that grapevine start to work for you. Then you tell your recruiters, this is who we're looking for. And if we can get some diverse candidates, wow. So tell me what you think, recruiter, not just recruiter, go get 3 of.
Right.
Okay, so it takes time, and people don't like to take time. But it's kind of like a cake. If you do it right to start with, you're okay at dessert time. But if you just throw it in there, right, it's not going to work.
No, it's not going to work, and you won't be eating it. Trust me.
And they don't understand. And so what happens with diversity is the same thing that happened a lot with affirmative action. I threw it out there. See, it didn't work. They're not able. See, that didn't work at all. And they throw the whole concept out. Mm-hmm. And that's why we've got to make sure we do it better. And we try really hard to do it differently this time and take a step back and give people, you got to get through the fear. You got to get through the ignorance. It's going to take a little time. It's going to take a little time. You see, you're not going to scare me off. I'm going to be right there.
See, now, you know what? You just, man, you got to get through the fear. You have to get through the ignorance.
Yeah.
I feel that's very key, in all phases, not just in business, but in any aspect. If you have a foundation, if you have a company, what have you, a school, a little candy shop, whatever. I don't care, but those are true words. So, whoo, man, look here.
But people get tired before they get through because they've tried so hard to get through in so many different places. Mm-hmm. And they wear out. But if you wear out, then we don't move together. So we got to take a step back, take a breath. Remember what we saw, that wasn't just at us. It's bigger than that. And try again. And the good HR departments know that. Okay. And the crummy ones, they need to call me.
Call her. Okay. So look, how can people get in contact with you if they need to get in contact with you? Let's just start right there.
I will have a website shortly. Okay, but I will give you my cell phone number. I have no issue with that.
There you go. All right. No problem with that.
It is that important. Every seed counts.
Yeah.
703-732-9288. And 703-732-9288. We are all in this together, whether you like it or not. Let me tell you the truth. I'll tell you what's going on. We got handbooks. We have counsel. We have leaders who need us to help them so they don't look ignorant in front of their people. HR's got to be in there with them. We've got to build that relationship and let them know you need me. You might not know it, but you still need me.
Oh, no, you need me.
Oh, yeah. I called one of the leaders, a secretary, I guess, administrative assistants. I said, I need to see him. She goes, well, let me look. I said, I need to take him to lunch. She said, well, let me see if he's available. I said, I'm free all year and I'm paying. So I will call you until I hear back from you because I am going to have lunch with him. And she said, oh, okay. What about next Thursday? I'm like, that sounds good. I will not be deterred. I'm speaking the truth, which helps people. So of course it helps the company. It's not that I'm not fearful, but I'm going to tell you what needs to be said because that's my job. My job is not sit there and tell you look good. Okay. My job is to make sure we function appropriately by truly respecting, both sides.
Yes, true.
Okay. The harasser and the harassed, both sides. We got to fix it.
Okay.
We got to fix it, come together and say, what's the way forward? Your story's fine, but we got to go forward.
Now, see, I haven't even, got to any of the juicy parts of HR, like the scandals and all that,
Oh, yeah, I got a lot.
Because we just don't have enough time for all that. But I'm pretty, you know what? I think I'm going to make that a different show. Yes, I am. I'm going to have a panel. No, but how can people get a copy of your book as well? So
my book is on Amazon, and the book is called HR Simply Defined.
HR Simply Defined on Amazon. Okay, please, people.
It's on Amazon. You gotta know where you're starting so you'll know where you're going. They keep trying to run off without knowing where we're starting. What's the definition? Then we can figure out where we need to go.
You see, I just love it. I just love it. I just love it. This is, man, no, like I am having fun. This is like, it's almost like me having my own personal like HR person that I could just like, yeah, so what about this and da 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 da, you know, but I don't like this and I don't like that. So, you know, please pardon me as I, you know.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Out in excitement because, you know, because I'm pretty sure there's like a ton of people who wish they could have an HR person that they could talk to and be like, man, what about this? What about that? I have this, I have that. And
Yes.
trust me, you would be their best friend at the end of the day. You probably get Christmas cards and all that other good stuff as well. So
I did the whole thing. I had one girl call in. I said, hello, this is Claudia. She goes, I am not going to tell you who I am. I said, well, that's fine. How can I help you? So
right.
She asked me a question. I gave her the answer and said, no, your manager cannot do that. If they do, let me know. Right. And I said, if you need anything else, let me know. I am not going to tell you who I am. I said, really, that's okay.
Okay. So you know what? What's one of the biggest misconceptions about HR to you, you know, as far as like, you know, that people may have about HR?
That they don't care. They're just checking a box. That I've heard it for years. And for some HR people, because they might not be in the right company or don't have the right leadership,
right.
I think it's a way of protecting yourself. And you just kind of space yourself and let's just check the box and go home. And I actually talk about that in my book too. You know, lack of leadership, and that lack of leadership can be contagious. We have to be careful as HR. Can't do that. Can't do that. That's not why we're there. We're there to do a job, and the job is to service folks so they can service the company. Period. I can't
just say something. I feel your book simply, you know, applies all across the board. And when I say all across the board, I mean in sports, I mean in tech, I mean in any type of business form that, you know, you're like pretty much seeking out or what have you. Because everything that you talk about is, at the end of the day, it's about connection. How connected are we? Are we connected enough to like take the company or take our like business venture to another level? Or, I mean, man, is this like fake energy? You know, is this like false electricity going on? I mean, I don't think electricity can be false, but you know, still, you know, like what's the mood around here? You know, and sometimes, well, I was told this a long time ago. Real leaders inspire vision. You know, you could either pull or be pushed. Which one do you prefer?
That's right.
So
that's right. But you're right, because I'll tell you right now, even a baby knows if you don't want to hold them. They'll start crying and kicking and trying to get away. So they can tell. So they can tell if your HR group is not interested. People can still sense things.
Yes.
We have to care. We have to care, and we can't stop caring.
Look, I'm gonna invite you back to a panel. You got to come back on this show. We got to have some more talks because this is what's up. Like y'all need to get in on this right here. But Miss Claudia Kropf, I'm very upset that I've come to the very last question of my show because we are having so much fun right now.
Yes.
But I have to ask this question because this is just what my show is known for. So, what is the one word that best describes you and why?
Determined. Determined. If I believe I'm doing the right thing, nothing will get in my way. It's that simple. Don't care who, don't care what level they think they may be. We're all created equal. I am determined that I'm going to give you the truth. I owe you that.
I'm going to throw another word in there. Fearless. Man, look, just listening to you talk, I mean, look, I'm still going to be here, you know, and I feel in order to, you know, be fearless, you have to be determined, you know, regardless of anything, because you want that change to come.
Yes.
So
yes, I do. I do. You've been great. You've been
man,
great.
look, this is She'll be back on the show later. This is not her last time on the show, so I can just promise you that. All right. Any last words, any thank yous, anybody you would like to say hello to or what have you?
I just want to say thank Chan so much for helping me, because she helped me with my book, and there were so many people that encouraged me. I just I know that I am who I am because of all the experiences that I've been through, and I just hope I have an opportunity to help some others at least have that extra tool in their tool belt, because I've got some. You don't have to use them, but isn't it nice to know they're there? So that those are my final words.
Well, look here, look. I'm gonna put it to you in layman's terms for all my cartoon people out there. She equips Batman with the utility belt that keeps him fresh and keeps him out of danger. Okay, because you got to have the knowledge to have the tools. To have the tools, you got to be able to do the job.
Yes.
The woman right here. Okay, man, there you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Word with Ty Brownlow. I've been your host, Ty Brownlow. Remember, no one is worthless, no story is worthless. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Word with Ty Brownlow, or you can just go to my website, tybrownlow.com, get this wonderful interview, plus other great interviews. Miss Claudia Kropf, I thank you. We are out. Peace.
Okay. Thank you.